Palestinian. They don't have a state. They live in the camps.
No, I don't want you to. I don't expel you, but I don't want you to expel me.
I think it's not easy for both of us to talk about what is going on in the occupied territories simply for the fact that you are Israelis and I am a Palestinian.
Would you not want that somebody would say, look, I know the law, it's done, it's not done, or at least, I mean, it sounds terrible what you said.
Any layman who has an open mind could understand what was said here.
We're all minorities,
Just a minute,
everybody's got to do their thing.
Okay, I don't think that I'm doing less than your fellow people in favor, that are fighting in favor of a Palestinian state. I don't want Ramallah.
But then what?
If it would have been depended on me, you would have had already your state. I'm a minority in Israel.
I mean, yes, okay, so I like you personally, but so what? So what? The fact of the matter is that you go to your kibbutz every Saturday and then you drive back to Tel Aviv, and I am stuck in Washington.
Dear Muna, people meet, get to know each other a little bit, and if a solid base is created, they can build on it even through letters.
We had started with breakfast when Chaim, I think, could no longer keep it inside and had to ask me, who are you? And I looked at him and smiled and I said, you guess. And he said, Palestinian? And I smiled and I said, yes. And he still had a hard time accepting it, and he looked at me and he said, a real one? I said, what do you mean a real one? Yes, a real one. I mean, I was born in East Jerusalem, and my mother was born there, and my father was born in Haifa. And so he looked at me with utter surprise, and he said, my God, I don't believe this. He said, I was raised in Haifa. That's where I spent my childhood. And I said, well, you're not going to believe this. I said, my great-grandfather was mayor there for 33 years. His name was Hassan Shukri. And Chaim flipped, and I flipped, because it turned out that he spent his childhood living on Hassan Shukri Street. Here was this Israeli who I had never met before, who was telling me that he had seen him, that he lived on his street. And so there was a binding because of it.
I suggest that we devote this meeting to one main topic, which I think that we have to discuss, and that's the law forbidding meetings with the enemy in actual practice with the PLO, which we are, of course, totally against it.
The essence of the recent law, which was recently passed by the Knesset, is that any Israeli citizen or resident who meets with a member of what is called a terrorist organization, and the intent is obviously the PLO, will be liable to a 3-year prison sentence. Now, this is being called an anti-terror law, but actually it's an anti-peace law. What this really is a law not to prevent terrorism, but a law which will prevent dialogue, which may lead to peaceful solutions that in themselves could prevent terrorism.
Dear Muna, under present circumstances, a meeting between a Palestinian and an Israeli has a very special meaning, much beyond that of two people from different nations or different generations meeting.
Washington, D.C. Dear Chaim, I was very touched by your letter, and I certainly did not expect to feel such warmth toward you. It is up to the Palestinians and the Israelis to come to terms with one another. In many ways, time seems to be running out, and I don't know who will make the difference if we don't. Say hello to Haifa for me. I spent a lot of time thinking about Jerusalem and my longing for it. The way I have found to live with it is to turn on one of my most favorite songs, which talks about we shall return to our neighborhood where we once lived, no matter how many years separate us. He's saying, my father brought me a present. It's a machine gun and a rifle. When I grow older, I'm going to join the Liberation Army. The Liberation Army has taught us how to be victorious. We're going to be victorious. We're going to be victorious over America and over Israel. Toward the end of it, they say, give us the blood of the Zionists, which I think is very interesting because they don't say give us the blood of the Jews and they don't say give us the blood of the Israelis, but the Zionists.
And are these songs that you knew from your past?
They're similar songs. I mean, we were talking about the blood of the Zionists from back then. But I think it's very legitimate to say that. I mean, it's not the Jews as people, but it's Zionism, the idea of Zionism that went in and created the conditions where they were going to establish a national homeland for the Jewish people that was not going to include the original inhabitants, which were the Palestinians. And so, I mean, what do you want them to sing? Let's go party with the Zionists? What do you expect?
Well,
my name is Riva Silverman. I work for Interns for Peace here in the village of Tira. هسه في سؤال في عندكم كلام وورقة. Interns for Peace is a non-political organization that seeks to improve relations between Israel's Arab and Jewish citizens. They seek to do this through cooperative activities, not political ones. Right now, we're in the 5th grade classroom in the school, an Arab school called El Zahra. This class has participated in 3 cooperative activities with a Jewish class in the Jewish town of Ra'anana. We did a follow-up session now to discuss these activities with them, how they felt before, how they felt afterwards. First of all, she's learning Hebrew, she's learning about Jewish culture. She hopes that these interactions will lead not only to friendship on a small level, but to an expanded friendship to bring about peace in Israel. And even more so, she hopes that Israeli Arabs can be the bridge to peace in the entire Middle East between Israel and its surrounding Arab neighbors. I'm here in Mamlech Bet, Jewish school in Ra'anana. That is the second half of the pair that I was in this morning. Here, I'm doing exactly the same thing as I did in the Arab class this morning. I ask the children the same 5 questions and go over their answers. The Jewish children are much more prone to stereotypes than the Arab children because unlike the Arab children, the Jewish children have virtually no contact with the Arabs. Arabs are familiar with the language, the culture, the people. Hence, the fears of the Jewish children are much more extreme. The stereotypes they express are fear of Arabs as the enemy and fear of actual physical violence, stones being thrown at them, things of this nature.
Before the first meeting, he was afraid the Arab children wouldn't know how to speak Hebrew, but after the last meeting, he realized that they know how to speak Hebrew very well, and he wishes that he could speak Arabic as they speak Hebrew.
We asked a Jewish child, what did you think before the interaction, before the activity? And she said, I was afraid that the Arabs' hands would be dirty and bloody, but afterwards, during the activity, I took her hand and I found that it was soft.
I'm active in the feminist movement for many years. And all these years, it was very difficult for us to get a lot of popularity. It's like that you are betraying the country. They translate feminism in terms of what is good for the country and for the state. I just told you about my visiting in Tira some days ago, and I would like to know your reactions. What do you think about all of this matter?
You remember the meeting that we had of the women who came up from Gaza
yes.
A year or two ago, and nothing really came of it. There was a great pain on both sides, I felt.
Yes.
As women, as feminist women, and they were feminists, the same as we are, and a tremendous desire to do something and to change. And it's like reaching across, you know, with the hands almost touching, you know. I was upset for weeks after that meeting.
We have avoided completely the conflict, the war, political issues that are very difficult for us to deal with, and therefore we have not created a dialogue between us and the Arab women. Now, since we're not the underdog, it's our job to really reach out to them.
This is here a matter of my survival. It's not a matter of the Palestinian survival, it's a matter of my survival as a Jew, because we are here because we wanted to create a Jewish country after whatever happened in the diaspora. And we want to create here a Jewish state, which is democratic too, and it's very difficult to combine both things together under these circumstances. And we are trying, we are doing our best, and we'll have to do it somehow. One day you will be able to create a dialogue, but not yet.
At one point, I invited Muna to visit my kibbutz. Will it be safe for me? She asked in a question that expressed a mixture of sarcasm and real fear. You'll see for yourself, I answered. My family will organize a reception for you and tell everybody who you are.
So, Muna may visit us in the kibbutz.
Why don't you want to come to speak to us, actually, here on the kibbutz?
She wants to come, but she, until a certain stage of her life, she's hardly met any Jew. And she was very active in student circles in the United States, making fiery speeches against the Zionists.
If she wants to express her point of view, saying that this is my country as a Palestinian, this we know. But the fact is that we live here, and if she wants to achieve something, she'll have to tolerate.
I understand that, we have to do our best to put across our point of view, to make her understand our point of view. But deep in her heart, even when she'll agree, she thinks that she is giving us part of our country. What we say that that's our country as much as our country, it doesn't strike a note in our mind.
When I talk to Israeli friends like Chaim, and they see the map, for them, they say, well, here you are, you're saying you're for a two-state solution, but on the other hand, look what you wear all the time. You have the whole map of the country, and it says Palestine. Maybe down in my subconscious, I wear this map because that's truly what I believe, and what I have believed all along, that Palestine is one country, and it's a Palestinian country.
I imagine that she'll be ready to go as far as telling us that, okay, I want peace with you, and I want my Palestinian state, and I'm giving up part of my country.
Does she only
but
want
wait
to...
a minute, I think that can work. Anyway, I always thought so. Maybe now, since so much time is passing and nothing is happening, maybe really I'm beginning to doubt that anything so simple can work out. But I don't see why not, damn it. The Negev was waste. I don't think there was even one tree here. It was all desert. And we started to build it as a home. I never had anything against the Arabs. And I want them to understand that as I am prepared that they should live here, I want them to understand that I want to live here. That's all. It's just the hate and misunderstanding.
Dear Chaim, as a Palestinian, I have never hated the Jews, not as a people. I have always indicated that I'm not anti-Jewish, but rather anti-Zionist.
Dear Muna, I am a Zionist. How would you react, for instance, if I had said that I'm not an anti-Palestinian, but anti-PLO?
I've participated in too many dialogues between Israelis and Palestinians in the last 20 years, and they followed the same pattern, which is adversarial. Once both sides declare their affiliation or their allegiances to their respective national movements. If an Israeli says that he's a Zionist, or a Palestinian says that he is a member of the PLO, then that is the end of the dialogue.
I never believed that the Jews should be thrown into the sea. I always believed that the land can be shared. We both have a just claim and a right.
For me, Zionism is the right of the Jewish people to self-determination. I call this right Zionism because in the past, the Jewish people yearned in their prayers and emotions for Jerusalem. In other words, for Zion. Every nation has a past. Without a past, there is no present.
And as long as both sides see the other collective as illegitimate, that is why they depict Zionism as racism, and we depict Palestinian nationalism as terrorism, both words that mean that the other side is an outcast, then there's nothing to discuss. But therefore, the only dialogue that is possible is one side is ready to give up his identity. I established the West Bank Data Project in '82 because I realized at that time that there are fundamental changes in the territories, and the relationship between the territories in Israel are becoming permanent. Manually, although occasionally use was made
of drought animals.
drought animal, בהמות, כן.
Massacre?
בהמות, כן. יש דבר כזה, drought
עכשיו,
animals.
מה זה?
The West Bank Data Project is a think tank dedicated to monitoring and to recording the changing realities in the occupied territories. We deal with attitudes, with economics, demography, agriculture. Our aim is not to let people forget the unresolved enigma of the occupied territories. Rainfall, production, no, yields. אבל the production, המילה לא production, לא נראה לי. Every morning, more than 100,000 Palestinians leave their homes in the villages and the refugee camps in Gaza and the West Bank and go and work inside Israel, usually doing menial jobs, jobs that Israelis now refuse to do. They are the Gastarbeiter, the migratory laborers of modern Israel. Many of them are not protected by any labor law. All of them are discriminated against as far as fringe benefits and social security is concerned. It is a sorry sight, because what we see here is how a society is now built on superiors and inferiors. And this phenomenon reinforces Israeli stereotypes of Arabs as their servants.
לא, לא, אי אפשר, העורך לא יעביר, הסגן עורך לא יעביר את זה, אין גם שום סיבה להתייחס לזה. בסדר, יהיה סיבה, אני אדאג שלא נשכח אותך. 100%, אוקיי. 100%, להתראות, אריה, ביי. I disguised myself as an Arab because I wanted to get the underskin feeling of an Arab or a Palestinian here. The feeling I got in Jewish neighborhoods was of a lot of fear. Nobody talks to you, people avoid you. زيت هنا ياسر عرفات سمين بعتون زيت يا الله. I understood that we are not aware at all to what we mean to the average Palestinian we meet. We are not aware how much he frightened us, and we are not aware to how strange he is to us and to how strange we are to him. زي اسرع واد الشلو شو عمش داك وزي اسرع تروح لليخ ريقت المهير شيلهم فيها برميل حواجه فيها برميل فيها حفيد. I walked into a cafe in Jerusalem once and everybody was looking at my bag as if I'm going to blow it up. Somehow get the feeling that they see you as a potential terrorist. An Arab is like a walking bomb that might explode any minute. Terror is an awful thing. Many innocent people are dying. Only 2 days ago we heard that a woman died because of a Molotov cocktail which has been thrown into her car by 2 Palestinian youth.
أهلين.
مرحبا.
أهلا. أهلين. أهلين. تفضل.
Muna Hamzeh is a young Palestinian lawyer who is very involved in the life of her Palestinian society and in the status of the women in her society. And she is one of the chairmen of a group called Law in the Service of Men, based in Ramallah.
أجا من الجامعة له 5 شهور يعني.
أنا بعطيك هلا التليفون عنا واحكي معنا واترك رقم تليفونك.
معلش.
طيب.
ولكن كمان ناس عاديين زيهم. فكان بدي أسألك أول سؤال. The first question I wanted to ask you is, what is the Israeli stereotype in the eyes of the Palestinians?
Settlers, military officers, soldiers, guards of the prisons. The problem is the reserve duty, so that everybody has the potential to come to the West Bank and be an army. So everybody is perceived as a soldier, as an army. When I walk through and see these soldiers, I feel really sad. I really don't see why do they have to be here. I used to fear them a lot. Now, not anymore. And I feel that they really know that they are not wanted and they know that it is not their place. So you look at their eyes and you don't feel that they are walking naturally in the street. Every time I look at them, it reminds me that it is a state of occupation, and I spent most of my life under occupation, but I'm not getting used to it.
My husband participated 3 wars, and my first boy, he's doing his army service he's doing it already. And my younger boy is going to do his army service in half a year.
I don't know how I will feel in a situation when I hold a gun in front of another human being as a soldier. I hope I will not have to.
When my husband came back from the Six-Day War, it was the first war that we were together, and after I was glad that he came alive and okay, my first thinking was, it will be so terrible if I know that he killed someone, that he killed a person. It really inflicted my mind, you know. I was restless because of that. I asked him, but he didn't want to answer me. Maybe he didn't kill, but it is very difficult to know that a man that you are living with killed somebody in a war, you know. I'm really frightened about the next war, as they call it. It's only a matter of time, question of time, that people are waiting for war with Syria. It's only a question of time, and I'm really frightened.
This site encapsulates the whole problem. We see here the new town of Givat Ze'ev, and over there the Arab village of Gibeon. And we realize that these people are both neighbors and enemies. So what we see here is that curious situation, which can be defined as a twilight war. Not war and not peace. Most of the time, life goes on and people are pursuing more or less peaceful life. But then all of a sudden, the warlike situation penetrates into that peaceful environment by a bomb exploded, by rock throwing, by stabbing. And then all of a sudden people must take sides. It's our side against the other side. So they're always anticipating violence. Death here is not the resting place. Death is the mirror image of the conflict of the living. Graves here are a call for revenge on both sides.
People like us are in a terrible dilemma. There is an Hebrew saying, "Abba la'argecha, hashkem la'argo." The one that comes to kill you, kill him before he manages to kill you. On the one hand, we want to live it in peace with our neighbors, with our Arabs. On the other hand, we have to defend our lives. It was never one-sided. It was never like this, as though we came to conquer the country from them. We came to live here, and they were living here as well.
My son, Avidas Shur, is buried in the graveyard of Shuval. He was an officer in the parachutists. fell in action in the 10th of April 1973 in a daring raid against a PLO headquarters in Beirut as a reprisal against the München Olympic Games massacre. It was 10 days before his 22nd birthday.
I came to live here to build a family. I didn't even start hating the Arabs or anyone.
I can understand well their dilemma, their point of view. But I want to live as well. I have the same right to live as they have the right to live. So I'm willing that we'll accept, as a family, we'll accept Muna in the most friendly way. But if she'll come and say, go away from here, we'll say, no, we are here.
I would have been in any case, not just for the film. I'm really happy to see you.
This is a very nice welcome, I want you to know. Special treatment like this, it's too much.
Your dear to this will be able to crash it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure that by the time we leave, you leave.
Well, it's very effective. Enemies of Israel or...
It's very effective. You pinpoint people for us.
Right, and they get harassed.
They listen. I mean, they're trained.
I was extremely concerned about coming to Israel, and I was also very, very afraid. It's just not something that you do, that you just walk over to the enemy and talk to him or her and visit them and be in their homes. I was afraid that it was going to isolate me, that my people would misunderstand it. It's very hard to go to a Palestinian like my mother, who lost a home first in 48 and then in 1967, and to say to her, but Mom, the Israelis are okay. You know, they're decent people. And like us, I've met Israelis who also want peace, who want to live with us. It's very hard to convince them of that.
I remembered Muna's great-grandfather from my childhood in Haifa. Hassan Shukri would walk to his office through the streets of Haifa, commanding the respect of all those around him. Later, when he died, the street I lived on was named after him, and it carries his name to this day. Hassan Shukri Street was the border between the Jewish and Arab sections of Haifa. The neighborhood was mixed with Jews and Arabs, and we used to play soccer and hide-and-seek games together. Suddenly the playing stopped. Arabs disappeared from our daily lives. A wall of enmity arose. I remembered my childhood fear that an Arab might come to kill us in our home.
This was our house right there. And it's the place where I have spent the most beautiful times of my childhood. Looking out of this window right there, which was the bedroom at the Dome of the Rock and the old city. I feel when I'm in Washington or if I am in Amman that it's so easy to be irrational, that it's so easy to sometimes talk politics and talk about moderation and talk about negotiations and to say forgive and let go. But when I come here and I stand in front of what is very much a part of me, but really isn't and can't be anymore, I feel very, very, very angry. And I feel very hateful. And I feel that there is a side of me that can fight, that can carry a gun.
2,000 years of a Jewish dream, that means absolutely nothing to me. Absolutely nothing to me. I want to have children, and it's very important for me that they be Palestinian children. I want my children to grow up very proud and very aware that they're Palestinian and to have access to Jerusalem because it is their right, because their mother was born in Jerusalem and her mother before her was born in Jerusalem.
We have in this hospital Jewish babies and Arab babies and maternity facilities for Jewish mothers and Arab mothers.
The core of the conflict is understood by both Israelis and Palestinians as involving sheer survival, because they view the other side as a mortal enemy. The shooting war extends to the maternity ward. All Israelis know that their birth rate is twice as high as the Israeli birth rate. This is why people here are so obsessed with demography. They count the number of babies born on the other side, and they are really worried who is going to win the war of the womb.
I invited you to come to my kibbutz on Saturday, second time. You don't want to come because you'll explain why you don't want to come, but I'll give my explanation. I think you don't want to come because the kibbutz is Israel, because you feel if you'll come to the kibbutz, you'll be part of Israel. You don't want to be part of Israel.
It's difficult, if not almost impossible, for me to come to the kibbutz because I feel that for New Outlook magazine to invite Americans or Palestinians to come to Israel with a map showing the whole map of Israel is shying away from what we've been discussing. A map that doesn't show that our borders, doesn't show Gaza and the West Bank.
I told you that's a mistake. When I met you first time, there was a map on your necklace with the whole of Palestine, undivided. And when I asked you, what is it? So you said Palestine. As far as you're concerned, maybe the whole country is yours. And in order to make a compromise, you're ready to divide it. I don't think that the whole country is mine. I think that the joint homeland of both people, and saying that we can't live together as two people in the same country, let's divide it. I can't promise you the territories. It's not in my hands. The only thing that I can promise you is to struggle in order to get them for you.
You see, I believe that ultimately, perhaps, the difference between myself, the Palestinian, and you, the Israeli, is that I have absolutely nothing in this life to lose. I don't have a country, and therefore I have nothing to lose. The only thing is my life, and my life in this struggle for me does not count. Therefore, I am not afraid. I'm not afraid to come here. I am not afraid to appear on Israeli TV, and I'm not afraid to come back again because I have nothing to lose. But you, on the other hand, have something to lose. And because of that, the difference between us is that I'm willing to take chances and you're not. And there's been nothing. And there's been nothing.
It just happens.
There's been nothing.
I live in this country.
What have you from your end as an Israeli done for me as a Palestinian?
That I live in this country, and I can tell you how many threatening letters, threatening my life, I've got. I can tell you how many threatening letters New Outlook has got. I can tell you how many threatening letters my friends have got because they support your struggle, because they support the Palestinian state. And then you are coming and telling me that you have nothing to lose.
אשר בידך נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשר איש יהיו לרצון לפניך תורתנו תפילתנו ובוא נשמותיהם של מאות ריבו מישראל זקן ונער אנשים נשים וטף שנהרגו על קידוש השם.
Today is a Holocaust Memorial Day, and I just remember that when I was 7 years old, I celebrated my 7th birthday in a camp in Bergen-Belsen. I got a candy from my grandmother, and for me the Holocaust means that none of the children I played with up to that age is alive today.
No doubt that what happened in the Holocaust had a fantastically strong impact, not only on the Jews that that lived through the Holocaust, on generation to come. And trying now to wipe away the Holocaust and to say there wasn't any Holocaust, it's also kind of affecting us today. But what happened to us, what is the metamorphosis that we went to from victims to oppressors? I don't want my children to walk around in the occupied territories.
What I think of is that the Holocaust wouldn't have happened if we had been better able to protect ourselves. And our first duty is to survive. And when we think of us as oppressors of Palestinians or of Arabs, the thing we have to think about first, how we can survive.
As I was standing on the street in Tel Aviv during Holocaust Day, watching the faces of people as they were standing silently in the street. I wondered, did that person lose a father? Did they lose a sister? Did they lose a mother? And I wondered what it was like for them and what their pain was like. But then on the other hand, if those who've been oppressed have been able to turn around and oppress another people, what then is the future going to hold for the Palestinians? No, there's no thanks. I had enough already.
You're not too fat.
On the contrary. It's not why I'm not eating it. My stomach happens to be full right now.
And to tell you the honest truth, that even though, you know, Chaim said that his last conversation with you sort of was, you know, didn't end off so friendly. When I thought of the fact that you were coming, I just couldn't think of any other way than, you know, to be very happy. So we have a problem of a very different nature to the Palestinian-Israeli problem. Just an ordinary human.
I think that's the most difficult aspect of it. And I think that's the largest hurdle that we have to overcome, is in the human feelings, emotions, personal.
But that seems to me so easy.
Well, after that then came the politics, and that's when things changed. And
so
changed.
why is it?
There was some kind of hope.
On your part?
I think on both parts. And during this year, it's more than a year.
I have to disagree with what you just said.
Okay.
After I saw Israel and then went to occupied Palestine, I never felt hope that an accommodation was going to be reached, because I was never able to stand on the kibbutz or in a refugee camp or in the old city of Jerusalem and truly believe in my heart, not even for a single moment, that the Israelis were willing to give up the land, especially in the West Bank. Just looking at the settlements that are built there, they're just impossible to see them grow and grow and to think.
Are you saying that there is no solution? Are you saying that there is a solution?
No, that's not.
I'm ready to give up every single
Well,
inch.
when I say, okay, in this instance, when I say Israelis, I'm talking about the Israeli government,
Yeah,
or
it's
whoever
it's
is the prime minister.
I understand what you're saying. I don't
That's what
accuse you, but I would say that we represent, in many ways, more the true nature of Israel than they represent. But they are now the majority. They are now the government.
Obviously, it was a dramatic experience, a very enlightening experience and heartwarming experience to to come to Israel, to go into Israeli homes, to come to the kibbutz, to be with a family, to see the children, to see life blossoming and growing and living. But I just can't bring myself to believe that negotiations now are going to be the answer. Because before an inch is given, I feel that more blood is going to be shed.
I share the same feeling with you.
And I can say that in those years going back to when I was a real revolutionary and a real radical and wanted to go fight till the end and to the bloody end, I never imagined in my entire life that I would have the privilege of knowing the pain and the pleasure, the sorrow and the joy of not only crossing over, but all the way to the other side. I never in my entire life imagined. And yet here, look, a kibbutz in the middle of Israel. I never in my entire life imagined it was gonna... I mean, I thought maybe it would happen, but in a war kind of situation. But Israelis to come sit in their house, it's the ultimate sin.
After Avidah was killed, for me, the war, any war, means when the door opens and then in a split moment the world just shatters. Someone stands there with the fatal news. That's all that war means to me. I never had any hate. No, I never had any hate.